Okay, and welcome back to Romance Ever After. I'm here with Tati Richardson, um, romance author extraordinaire, podcaster, sometimes blogger from the east side of Atlanta, Georgia. As a kid, Tati, am I saying it right? Is it Tati or
Tati.
Tati?
Tati.
Tati. Okay, let
Yes.
me get that right because I people should say people's names right. And like in my mind, I've been saying Tati all day long, but like here I am, like saying it like the stupid coffee shop that's in town. So Tati, Tati's mother instilled in her a love of books, and she started reading full sentences by the age of 3. It
Mhm.
was a trip to the library at age 14 with her mother that she discovered the world of romance and copies of historical romances by Miss Beverly Jenkins.
Yes.
After graduating magna cum laude from Clark Atlanta University with a BA in English, Tati received her Master's of Arts in English, Editing and Publishing from the University of North Carolina, Greensboro in
Mhm.
2003. Okay.
Yeah, go
Although she
Spartans.
has although she has spent the last 20 years working in higher education administration. Oh my god, heart out to you there, honey. Tati's real passion has always been writing. She started a successful and popular blog in 2008, sexinthesouthernbelle.com,
Mhm.
chronicling her adventures as a single black woman dating in Atlanta. In 2018, Tati decided to pursue the craft professionally, writing inclusive contemporary and romantic comedies centering blackness, queer identity, and body positivity. In December 2019, Tati started the podcast Romance in Color with her friend of nearly 20 years, Dr. Yakini Etheridge. Initially at Initially a place to talk about all things Hallmark and holiday movies, Romance in Color has evolved into a podcast dedicated to the intersection of race and romance in movies, television, books, and all facets of pop culture. Tati lives in a suburb of Atlanta with her husband and their school-aged daughter. When she isn't writing, Tati enjoys watching rom-coms, tattoos, 90s R&B, southern rap, crafting fails from Pinterest, sweet
Yes.
tea, Marvel comics, Wonder Woman, and collecting the perfect shade of red lipstick. She's up to 22 so far. Her debut novel was The Build Up from Karina and was one of Amazon's best books of 2023 and a starred booklist top romance of 2023. Her indie, The Oath, under T.M. Richardson, was a 2024 USA Today bestseller. And soon she has a new book coming out, but we'll get
Yes.
to that later.
Yes.
An Apple Books writer to watch. Welcome, Tati Richardson.
Oh man, it seems like I've done so much, but I haven't done a lot. But thank you.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That is. I mean, I won't say well, life well lived because you're still living it, but that is a good bio, my friend.
Yeah. I keep myself busy. I keep myself busy. Yes, yes, yes.
I mean, yeah, you do all that and worked in higher ed admin.
Yes. Yes. Deal with students all
I
day.
Oh no, that so I've been out of like actual university for like I guess about 5 years now, but like that's been pretty much my entire career dealing with students.
Hmm.
So you
Hmm.
do all that and deal with students?
Yeah.
Impressive, impressive. But we are here today to talk about romance and not trifling undergrads. We are
Yes.
here to talk about the thing that I know makes my heart beat a little bit faster. Let's talk about your love story with romance.
Oh
When did
man.
you first fall in love with romance?
Man, it's a combination of several things. I think one being that going to the library with my mom. Um, but when I was younger than that, my mom was an avid reader, and so she read a lot of popular romance books. There were the Harlequin books in my house. There were, the Judith. What was it? Judith Krantz, I think that's her name is Judith Krantz,
Mm.
and the Danielle Steels, and the VC Andrews, all that stuff was in the house, right? And then on top of that, there were other, contemporary black authors in the house too. There was Alice Walker and Toni Morrison. Like my mom read so much. Like I just I remember her sitting and reading, like she would, have food on or whatever, and then just sitting there reading. But then on top of that, we would also have like these marathons of watching like old movies or like, classic movies and stuff. So like all the classic movies, I remember, watching like Black Orpheus with my mom, like sitting down and watching that.
Oh, that's
Watching
so
Stormy
good.
Weather, yeah, watching Carmen Jones, all these classic movies with her all the time. So it was a combination of loving the written word and also loving like motion pictures and classic romances and stuff like that. So that's when I definitely fell in love with romance as a kid and through my relationship with my mom. So yeah, I owe it
That's
all to her,
beautiful.
really, honestly, all
Oh,
of it. Yeah.
thank you, Mom.
Yes.
That's good. That's beautiful. I do love Black Orpheus. I really love the soundtrack. My dad was like big into jazz, so like lots of
Hmm.
Vince
Hmm.
Guaraldi, and so like that was one that got played a
Yes, it's
lot
so
when I was
good.
coming up.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes.
Okay. So that's how you fell in love with romance. What's one of your like kind of favorite, we always like talk about tropes
Hmm.
are like, like that's what makes romance fun, but like what is your favorite trope? But like not necessarily trope, like, let's go with the micro trope. Like what's one like little thing that you always love to see in a romance that like you see it, you're like, ooh, yeah, that's the good stuff.
I love when men take joy in feeding women.
Ooh, that's a
Like, I'm gonna
good
feed
one.
you and I'm gonna do dirty things to you. That's like my favorite micro
Mm,
trope in
okay.
in a book. But like the overall big tropes, probably like, enemies to lovers, friends to lovers, forced proximity. I love those types of tropes. Where you just cannot get around seeing this person. You just have to be in their presence all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think those are like the big umbrella tropes that I like. But in between those tropes, I like the micro tropes. Like, he's gonna feed you, he's gonna take care of you, and then he's gonna do dirty things with you, maybe with the food, but also, but also he's gonna feed you. But I just absolutely love like that one, and then he falls hard and first. I love a man
Mm,
who just falls so hard first, or anybody opposite the main character falls hard in the first. Yeah, that's my favorite too.
that's good. Well, not much feeding people in this movie
Yes,
that we're talking about today. Well,
but
not
it
feeding
is technically
her.
technically it's kind of feeding. I mean,
She's
it's
she's she
providing
okay.
food.
She's feeding everybody. Nobody's feeding her, and that's the problem.
Ah, that's true. That's true.
She's
You're right.
feeding everybody's soul.
She
And
is.
she's giving them food, but nobody's feeding her. And
This
that
is so true.
that might be a little bit of a problem with this movie. I mean, well, one of many problems. Today we're talking about The Butcher's Wife,
Yes, the butcher's wife.
which one of the movies that Demi Moore has regretted the most out of her career. I think it got her first Razzie, maybe.
Really,
Yeah, she was nominated for a Razzie for this.
I can see why the accent was bad.
All over the place. All over the place.
As a person who lived in North Carolina for a time, I met people from coastal Carolina. They don't talk like that.
No, they do not. No, they do not. No, my family's from North Carolina. Well, not from coastal Carolina. They're from Sampson County, so
Mhm,
like a little bit more
mhm.
inland. But still,
But
the
still,
only thing the only thing that kind of touched me in my heart is because this might just be a me thing from when I was a child visiting my family. It's that I don't wear shoes when I'm in North Carolina, so I don't
yes,
need shoes when I'm in North Carolina. So like
yes,
that's the only thing that like felt true to me, the fact that she was always out of shoes.
always without shoes on the
But
dirty
okay,
New York ground. But anyway,
on yeah, on the dirty New York streets,
oh,
walking around barefoot. Well, that's okay. All right, let's start from the top.
let's start from the top. Yeah,
Okay, so we have Marina, who is from coastal Carolina. She's from this little island somewhere out in the Outer Banks.
in the Outer Banks.
Only lives with her grandmother,
Yes,
and she has always been kind of clairvoyant. She's always seen into the future, seen into the past.
yes.
She's always had these very strong understandings and beliefs about her future and how she would find what she calls, oh my god, her other half.
Her
What does she
split
call them?
apart.
Her split. That's right, split apart.
Her split apart.
Um, yeah, and so she as she grows up, she has more and more visions about who her split apart person is, and she knows he's coming, and she knows for certain he's coming because one day she catches a fish and she guts it, and there's a ring in there. There's a
A
man's
ring in the
wedding ring
fish.
in there. So she's like,
Mm-hmm.
he's coming, and so the next person who shows up on her island, she's like, well, that's going to be my husband,
Mm-hmm.
and according to her, like she's dreaming of Adonis and Hercules and all these great heroic figures, and then we get
Leo.
poor little middle-aged Leo,
Middle age Leo. Balding
who
Leo.
and he is shocked out of his mind when this young, blonde, tiny little North Carolina girl throws herself at him, comes kissing him,
Mhm.
and proposes marriage. And of course, he says yes, yes,
Yes,
I'm going.
absolutely.
Yeah, he takes her back to New York. Everybody on the block is completely confused.
Yes. Like, what do you mean you get married? Like, what? Yeah. It's wild. Wild.
Yeah. And he is, you know, just completely. Oh, where was I? Okay. Okay. So everybody's confused that Leo has this like young woman with him. Where did Leo get this person?
Who comes out of a
And
taxi cab shoeless.
but she has roller skates.
But has roller. That's the craziest part. You don't wear shoes, but you want to roller skate? Girl. Okay.
Yeah, she has roller skates, but it's like okay, here's his butcher shop,
Yes.
and this is when we really start to see Marina operate.
Right.
She's friendly to everybody. In walks in this brunette with a shotgun, who's
Yes.
talking a mile a minute. And it turns out this is one of Leo's regulars and neighbors. She
Yes.
is a soap opera actress, and she is trying to figure out, what to do with her life. And she's just kind of a mile a minute about like where are things going with her and her relationship
Relationship.
with
Yes.
this guy that we haven't met yet. And Marina tells her that she's going to find the love of her life basically in a friendly face.
Hmm.
And Leo overhears this and he's like, well, that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But, he kind of like dismisses it. But Robin is super happy and excited to hear this. And she's like, you know what? This is the sign I needed.
Right.
I'm going to talk to my boyfriend tonight over dinner and tell him, hey, we should get married.
Right.
Come to find out, her boyfriend is the psychiatrist who's across the street. And so that's exact opposite of Marina. We have these two
People. Yes.
opposites.
He functions in logic, and she functions in the spirit or you know, spiritual realm. Like he's so focused in what he the tangible, and she
Mm-hmm.
just is not. She's like very dreamy, ethereal type of person, and he just is not. He is like has to have proof and logic and just sound mind basically behind anything that he's like seeing or doing. And he just does not understand how Marina operates in this way. He's like, what is wrong
Yeah.
with this lady?
Yeah. Yeah, and he's basically he seems to be like the shrink for everybody on the block too. Because like
Which is a problem because, sir,
it's like it's less psychiatry and more secret keeper, but is really bad at his job because he
yes,
keeps
but
telling
bad at keeping
everybody's
secrets.
business.
Yes, yes. I'm like, what kind of psychiatrist is the psychiatrist for the whole block? And you know
Hmm.
everybody's business, and you telling their business to other people. Like,
Constantly. So anyways, so Robin goes home, cooks this meal for Alex, the shrink,
mhm,
and he gets upset because she's like, we should get married. And he's like, I thought our next step was talking about moving in together.
yes,
You're talking about marriage,
marriage.
and just like totally blows up his life. So we have our first instance of Marina blowing up somebody's life in some
Mhm,
way with one of her predictions. The
yes,
next day we see that like she is she has already started like really letting Leo know that she makes predictions about things. Leo
Mm-hmm.
doesn't like it. He's uncomfortable with it. He doesn't want anybody to think that she's crazy. But
Right.
she can't help it. She's telling people things that they need to know. The truck is going to be late today, Leo.
Yes.
Or he doesn't want to believe it, but the truck is late, or and
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't even come. She tells she's cutting up some meat. He's like, "That's gonna dry out. You're gonna ruin all
Right.
this
And the lady
product."
comes in and says she needs all these chops for a party.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's obviously frustrated Leo to no end. So she decides, you know what, I'm gonna go for a walk. I'm gonna
Yeah.
get out of here, get out your hair. And she goes walking barefoot
Ugh.
down the street, down a New York City street. Feet
Ugh.
getting blacker than sin.
Just crusty, y'all. Y'all should see the bottom of that lady's feet. It was just, it was so gray. It was not even funny. Just gray.
And she goes into this clothing shop and she decides she's going to buy herself some shoes, which are the ugliest. Even
That was the
for
funniest part.
1991, when this movie came out.
Yeah.
These, you know what? They look like the shoes that, like, you always read about in, like, 90s romance novels where you're supposed to see, like, a really stylish woman. And you're
Yeah.
like,
They're
is it
hideous.
really, though? They're
They're like
hideous.
a cross between like a kitten heel and a pilgrim shoe. And like it's so ugly and it's satin and white. And for those things to cost $399,
Hmm.
$350, excuse me. I would have thought they were gonna be like Manolos or something. No,
Hmm. And she
they were
puts
not.
her crusty, dusty, dirty ass,
Feet.
after dusting them off a little, she puts her feet in these shoes.
Ooh, Jesus. Mm,
But while she's in this shop, she runs into another one of Alex's clients,
patient.
and who's been trying to like get up the nerve to sing in church.
Yeah.
And instead she points her out to this like really flashy, gorgeous dress, really, and says she would look stunning in that, and she could see her singing in a lounge,
Lounge. Yeah.
something that she's always wanted to do. But like just telling her that gave her the courage to buy that dress instead
Hmm.
of dowdy, sad church clothes, according to her.
Yeah.
And they go so that she can like actually go and perform at a bar.
Hmm.
um and as she's leaving the store after paying this woman $3.50 instead of the $350 that she wanted for her
But
shoes.
that's on Frances McDormand, make she who's playing the Lady Grace. She was like, it'll be 350, and so when somebody hears 350, they the first thing you're gonna think of is $3.50. She's not thinking $350, and she
Hmm.
gave that lady a smooth $3.50
And strut it right
and strutted
out of the
right out the
store
store, right out the store. Oh my
without
god.
without thinking about it. But later that day, Frances McDormand shows up at the shop to give a bill, the
Hmm.
real
For the
bill, to
shoes.
get all her money for the shoes. But she realizes that Marina is a nice person. But
Hmm.
also, Marina tells her that she sees her true love is out there, and it's somebody who's going to come to her on her front porch.
Right.
And so she should just wait. This person is going to come to her. And something about talking to Marina, she believes in her. She believes that the mystical forces are at play. So she's going to listen to her. And
Hmm.
she tears up her bill, even though that Marina also gave her like some free meat too. So like
Yeah.
she just called it even trade. So we've got so far we've
I
got
don't know if the meat and the shoes are even trade, Alec, because meat I mean, I don't know, depending on the
no.
cut of the meat, but $350 versus
Nah,
some prime
that was
rib.
not, you're right, that was not Wagyu, so it's not easy. But those shoes were ugly, so I really think she made out better on this end of the deal,
She might
personally.
have. Oh, they were ugly, y'all. Mm-mm-mm.
Hmm.
Mm-mm.
So now Alex is starting to lose it because one of his patients is now referencing Marina. Now his best
Mhm.
friend, who we find out, her name is Gracie. That's the one. That's the shoe lady. She's referencing Marina. Now, so it's basically like everybody in his little life. Oh, and then he has this little juvenile delinquent
Client, yes,
client who
yes,
is now kind of in love with Marina and working for her and like, listening, hanging on her every word. So like now he's got two clients and a friend and his girlfriend who are
girlfriend.
all listening to Marina. And like he's like, why are you not listening to my sound logic reasoning? Why are you listening to this Dipsy broad who is like listening to this to the cosmos? That does not
Yes,
sound really
yes,
rooted in reality.
right,
uh,
right.
and so he's like starting to lose it, and they have like this kind of big fight in the store as he's just like kind of like going insane, and she's like, you're kind of being ridiculous right now.
Like you're
But
the one that's
meanwhile,
not making sense. Like, what are you talking
I,
about? Like,
I
I'm making perfectly good sense. It's not my
yeah.
fault you're not tapped in. Basically, that's what she said. Basically, like you're not tapped into your higher self or whatever. In so many words, she doesn't really say it like that, but she does say,
Hmm.
it's not my fault that you're just too grounded here on in reality or in the world, and you can't see beyond what you can't see. Yeah,
Exactly. But now also Leo is like really freaked out
freaked
about
out.
Marina being like so like in touch, so free with giving her predictions to everybody.
Hmm.
So he goes to Alex and he's like, I need you to talk to my wife. I need you to talk some sense into her because
Yes,
clearly nothing's working up here. I'm
right.
afraid that like I just brought this crazy broad back from a small island in the middle of nowhere, North Carolina, and like now married her, mind you, married her, and now I'm stuck with her, and I'm gonna maybe get like stabbed in my sleep or something. And so Alex is more than happy to talk to her because he thinks he needs to talk some sense into her.
Right,
Um,
right.
Meanwhile, so Leo is like, fine, good. You talk some sense into her. I'm going to my favorite little lounge bar, and going to, have a couple drinks and do anything but think about my crazy new life, and, kind of disassociate.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, Marina goes and has a session with Alex, to talk about, to essentially convince him that she's not crazy,
crazy, right.
but also to like, placate Leo. Like she's doing
Hmm.
it for her husband. She's not his client as far as she's concerned.
Right,
Leo's the client.
right.
Um but at the bar is when Stella, the mousy lady from the clothing shop, comes in, and she is decided that she's really gonna actually sing jazz at the
Yes,
bar, which Leo loves,
loves jazz.
loves jazz, loves the old standards, and he gets really excited when he sees her sheet music, and she
Hmm.
says, she's nervous, mind you, but she says the most ridiculous thing
Yeah,
ever.
it was so out of
she
pocket.
she says, if only I were black, I'd feel so
So
much
much
better
better.
right now.
I was like, this is clearly the '90s because what in the world, girl? She's singing Bessie Smith. And so Bessie Smith does, she does sing, have, jazz,
Yeah,
blues standards, really. She's a blues singer. Um, very a
very
queer
soulful.
black woman blues singer.
Yeah,
And
very
so,
very soulful, great voice.
yeah,
But
yes,
oh my god,
that was
like,
so problematic. Oh my God. And
which is,
nobody batted
I
an eye.
nobody batted an eye. And I honestly, I've seen this movie somewhere in the last 5 years, and I completely forgot about that line. So when I heard, I had to pause for a second, like to like, did I just hear what I just thought I heard? But
Yeah,
yeah. So that line aside, she does get it together, and she goes up and she sings, and she looks gorgeous
she
in
looks
this.
good. The dress is pretty.
Yeah, she looks great in it, and she does a good job performing. The crowd's into it.
Hmm.
Leo is instantly smitten.
Enamored.
he has fallen in love. There is a
Yes.
gorgeous woman singing the music he loves. Oh,
Hmm.
he is
Looking good.
she is everything he's ever wanted, and he immediately like leaves the bar with her, and they don't go back to her house. They go back to her office.
In church. In
She's the
church.
church church music director, and she definitely thinks they're about to get it on when he starts talking about the fact that he has a wife. And
Hmm.
so she's like, okay, fine. We won't have an earthly relationship. We'll have something much higher than that. We'll have an affair of the mind, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
An
and
emotional affair, basically.
yes, yes, an emotional affair before the internet. They
Yes.
had to
Yes.
they had to get creative. Um, and do it in church. So
Just sitting in church, y'all.
just so so now Leo's having an emotional affair in Stella's office. Alex is out with Marina, and Marina is telling him about. She makes him go roller
Roller
skating,
skating. Yeah, I was gonna
which
say.
is which is crazy to him because he basically has to seek control in a way. Like, it's
Hmm.
she's like, okay, if you want to talk to me, we're not going to do it in your office. We're going to go roller skating,
Right.
and that basically kind of throws him off balance because he's not in charge anymore. It's
Right.
not an environment that he controls. And it's a chaotic, crazy environment,
Hmm.
and he obviously doesn't believe that she's clairvoyant, and she tries to explain to him what it's like. She says it's a donut, and it's like standing in the middle, and if you look one way, you can see everything that's in the past, and
Yes.
if you look the
Yeah.
other, you can see the future. And she tells him basically everything she sees about him from his
Hmm.
childhood.
Hmm.
When he fell in love with drumming because he's obsessed with drumming.
Yeah.
When he got chicken pox when he was a kid, and
Yes.
all this other stuff, and he is like kind of flabbergasted.
Hmm.
So he doesn't still quite believe her, but
But
she
he's still
got all the
impressed. Yeah, he's impressed.
yeah.
Yeah.
So after that, they're still talking. They're having a great night, and Alex is kind of letting down his guard with her a little bit more. And they
Hmm.
have this one of those long into the night conversations where you talk about everything. And she tells him about how she thinks that Leo's her split apart,
Hmm.
and she tells him the whole story that her grandmother told her, which basically is akin to a story from Plato about
Hmm.
basically people coming from these creatures who had two parts and were perfect, and then they were split apart, and you can tell where they split apart by their navel. And he's like, your grandmother basically just stole that from Plato. That's how I know that same story. But he's very smitten by her in this moment,
Yes.
and they're having this good conversation. But then they of course start arguing again, because obviously they're going to have to start arguing. That's where the passion is. But in this argument, she realizes that her dream about finding the man that she loves, coming to the because he was coming to the island, um was wrong, that it wasn't Leo. She made a mistake,
Fake. Yeah.
and they both kind of feel that she made the mistake. And
Hmm.
during the course of this argument, he lets out that he's the reason that Leo went to the island, because
Yeah.
he told Leo to take a vacation.
Vacation. Yes.
And
Yes.
so you kind of can see that, like, it kind of clicks in her mind that, oh, I wasn't supposed to find Leo, I was supposed to find
Find you.
you, but
Hmm.
Leo is how I found you.
Right.
um so she immediately leaves and realizes that, well, she's got to fix some things. She's got to get Leo off of her and
She said,
onto
I gotta
somebody
find
else.
him a wife.
and
Your
she
wife
starts
said, I gotta find you a wife. That's the craziest thing I ever heard in my life.
and she starts approaching like just random people who come into the butcher shop, and she's like, I gotta find him a wife, gotta find him a wife. And then finally, she has a dream that night where she realizes that for sure that Alex is the guy for
Guy.
her. And she
Hmm.
runs over, once again, barefoot in the middle of the night
In a
to his
nightgown.
apartment, knocks on his door where he's in bed with his girlfriend.
Can we pause there? He opened the door to this strange woman from across the street in bed with another woman, and they looked
Hmm.
like they had been, because
Hmm.
like she was wearing like a t-shirt or something, like very, very post love making perhaps. And
Hmm.
you open the door to this woman who basically is jumping on you, saying you're the person I'm supposed to be with. Wow.
Yes. Yeah. He's like, and I'm thinking that when he sees her, because she's in a very, very thin nightgown, we're supposed to
Very
allude
thin.
to the fact that he is instantly aroused by what he sees, because he throws on a trench coat of all things,
Yes.
like
Yes. The trench coat. Yes.
before walking out. So I'm assuming like he's supposed to be covering up some
Yes.
evidence of the
Good
fact, because he's only
evidence.
in boxers. And so they go into his office and she immediately like jumps his bones and kisses him, and she's like,
Mm,
"You're really the one for me." And he once again, he's lost control of the situation. He's like, "No, no, you're wrong. This is just transference. You're just upset because you found out that Leo is having an affair."
worst
And
therapist ever.
because Stella has come to the office earlier that day to tell him that, she has fallen in love,
With
and
Leo.
with Leo, and she thinks that it can work. And he is like, "You can't have an affair with a married man.
Hmm.
That's messed up." And so now that Marina showed up, he lets the cat out of the bag that, Leo is seeing somebody. And it's like, no client confidentiality. This man has never met HIPAA.
He has
Like, what
violated
the
all
hell?
the laws. All the
All
laws.
the laws, telling everybody's business.
Yes.
And so Marina is like, she's pissed. Like, it's not even that. It's not
Right.
even that. It's not even that he's cheating. Is that, well, it
She
is.
didn't
It's more.
find the wife. She's
Yeah,
upset that
it's, she didn't
he,
choose
right.
it. He's like, he's just out there with whoever. Like, I was the one who was supposed to make the choice. Like, and she's pissed about it. Like,
She's so bad.
massacring me, pissed about it.
You're right.
And so he takes her. She leaves because she's gonna go basically kill Leo now.
Hmm.
Um, and he's just, that's now has like messed with his mind a little bit. So he's
Hmm.
confused because he's seen her. He's really, really attracted to her now. And now she's pissed off about the fact that her husband is dating someone she didn't choose.
Right.
And the next day, he's like kind of processed it, and he's basically decided that, you know what if it could work between Leo and Stella, and tell Stella.
And he's like deliberately like, I'm going to sabotage everything. Like, I'm going to sabotage this marriage so I can be with this woman, and so my clients can be with each other. Like, it's
Mhm.
it's the most ridiculous plot point ever. Like,
Yeah, so
ever.
like, yeah, so now he's just decided he's going to tell everybody to get with everybody just so that he can get with Marina. And this is like really where a movie that is barely holding it together
Hmm.
just really loses it, because like
Yes.
it was kind of making sense up to that point,
Hmm.
but then like it just really does not know what it wants to do at this point, because
Right.
now he's giving bad advice everywhere, and he's going crazy.
Hmm.
And Marina is yelling at everyone, and she's upset, and she's packing everything up and going back to North Carolina because she can't deal with all these people.
Yes.
And he discovers that his girlfriend Robin is now getting together with his best friend Gracie,
Yes.
and which, out of nowhere, they like have like maybe 1.5 scenes together where we
There was
realize,
no type of build up to the point to even give any hint that there was like an attraction between the two of them. The
no.
conversation that they had seemed so generic. And I was just like, okay, so how did y'all end up together like that? Like, is she the friendly? They were at her doorstep, literally, and that's what she was like. Oh, she's the friendly face at the doorstep. That, no, it was bad. I mean, they mentioned for like a millisecond that Gracie was a lesbian, but
Yeah.
and that he had been trying to fix her up with folks. Which
Hmm.
I think is still kind of progressive because they didn't have to mention that she was a
I'm
lesbian in the book
yeah, I
in the
thought
movie. Excuse me.
it was quite surprising and great to see, like, they actually gave a lesbian happy ending in a movie in 1991, and having her still your girl, essentially, um
Hmm.
is like is pretty great. But also, where did it come from? Like, I feel like there's just like one scene there that we're missing, because we got
Yeah.
to see Leo and Stella make out in the meat locker,
Right.
which, with like a side of beef and a side of pig, like, we got to see that.
We
Where
did.
is Gracie and Robin's
When
tender
did they hook
kiss, where they
up?
realize they can't resist each other anymore?
Yeah, there was a weird plot point, a plot hole there. Like
Yeah.
he's totally missing. I was like, okay, so now, but then again, I think about it, I was like, okay, it's the '90s. They're not gonna show that. But on the flip side, shout out to Tommy Ford who plays a trans person
Hmm.
that comes into the place. He's on the credits. They have him listed as transvestite. Not
Which is very 1991,
very nice.
but
Yeah,
he's gorgeous.
transvestite.
Nobody is rude.
Rude to him.
Nobody is rude.
No, no one's rude to
Nobody
them. No,
nobody says anything wrong about, like, the way he's dressed,
no.
is or is like bothered by him. They're just
Mm-mm.
like, this is another customer at the shop, and this
Yeah,
this is the streets of New York City, and everybody's cool with it. And
yeah,
if we have a clairvoyant who's matchmaking people, like, why can't we have a person be treated respectfully
yes,
on in this movie?
yes.
So yeah. So, I feel like underlying, and this is like one of those times where, like, I want to read like an original draft of the script to see, like, what was cut. Like, was there something maybe a little bit more salacious
I think there probably
that,
was,
like,
and they took it out.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, I wanted a little bit more for Robin and Gracie,
Hmm.
because we know that they got it on, and it was great
Hmm.
because Frances shows up to the door with her hair all over the place.
In like a big shirt or something.
Yeah, like, she's wearing a robe,
Robe. Yeah.
And Robin comes out in the nightgown that Alex had bought her. But,
Yeah.
like, they're both just like, come on, just get over it, Alex.
We'll
This
call you
isn't
tomorrow.
wasn't Yeah. You can freak out tomorrow. We're trying to have our evening right now.
Right. Right. Right.
Like, they like,
You're messing up the flow, dude. Like you have to
yeah,
go.
yeah. We're in afterglow. Nobody's broken up, but, like, we are between rounds 2 and 3, and you're, like, bothering us. So come back later.
So
Um,
crazy.
so Marina goes back to North Carolina. Everybody basically kind of gets their lives together, and Alex is just like trying to go back into his humdrum life. But then he
Hmm.
sees a shooting star, which is one of the things that he and Marina had talked about seeing right before Leo had showed up on our island. She saw a shooting star, and that's when she knew it was time to get ready for her husband. And
Hmm.
he sees it, and he realizes he must go to Marina. And it's like, okay, sure.
I
Like,
guess.
okay, I guess. But he goes and he shows up and he confesses his undying love to her. And
It meets the blind grandma.
yes, the grandma who did not get her story from Plato, by the by. She just needs to make sure that she knew that.
Yeah.
And then he meets Marina up on the lighthouse,
House.
and they
Yeah.
kiss, and she puts the very faded wedding ring on his finger, and then all is right with the world. And you see it kind of glow a little green, so
Like it
it.
fits.
Yeah, it fits. This is the one. This is the one that you've been dreaming of. But yeah, that is that movie. I don't.
And not to mention, we forgot about the lady who came in initially for the steaks,
Oh
and
yeah.
she was a art dealer or something like that, and
Mm-hmm.
the young juvenile quote unquote delinquent person, he wasn't just delinquent. He was just you know he just needed some guidance. Um,
Yeah.
he was a talented artist, so he'd been making murals and things like that on the windows and putting flowers everywhere for Marina and all this stuff. And
Mhm.
finally, the lady was like, "Who does your window? Like, I want to meet them or whatever." And after his failed like attempt to be with Marina, she finally tells him like, "Look, this lady came in. She has a card. Whatever." And because she was like, "I like them younger. I like them young and hot."
Yes.
I don't want because she was trying to hook up the lady with her husband, and she's like, "No, no, I like them young. I like them hot. No, no,
Yeah, and she
no."
likes him young, hot, and talented. And
Talented.
so, if you know whoever did your window, give him my card.
Yes,
So he's gonna be set up for life
yes,
now.
yes. I think we get a hint of that in the like kind of post credits or whatever. Cause
Mhm.
he's on like a fancy bike and he rides off and then he has like own like little studio. So he's set up. He's set up
Mhm.
with the sugar mama art lady. Age gap sugar mama white lady. Is white. But art sugar mama art lady. I was trying to say art dealer lady. Yeah, ain't
Yeah.
no, ain't no
So
one black person in here, and that's Tommy. So
yeah, he's the only one. He is literally the only one.
the only one.
Even the little lady sitting out on the street who
Yeah,
like are like kind of like randomly like giving Marina trinkets and stuff.
yeah. To supposedly
No.
help with her marriage, like to help with the
Yeah.
love in her marriage, but she never gets them. They get intercepted every time.
Mhm.
So they go to other people who need them, but she doesn't
Hmm.
need. She doesn't get them. Yeah,
Oh.
yeah,
So
yeah.
okay, let me ask you this. One of my favorite things to ask is like, how would you fix if there's anything that you would fix? How would you fix the movie?
How would I fix this movie? I think I would have them break up earlier. Like
Mhm.
I wouldn't have them necessarily get married. Um, I would just I would just have her say, "I just need to come to New York with you," and he'd be like,
Mhm.
"Okay," or like, "I need a job," because basically that's what he did. He basically got her to work in his butcher shop. So why
Mhm.
don't just have her instead of having them be married, just have her. He'll be like a kindly older man or something like that, and then she's like, I'm supposed to meet you. I'm supposed to go to New York with you. And he's like, what? And I would fix it that way. And then have the
Yeah.
tension with the psychiatrist. And then have her maybe try to hook up Leo because she's clairvoyant, have him try to hook up Leo because she sees him as like more of a benefactor. I would age Leo up, have him be an older man, and like
Mhm.
he's like I need to go with this person because I'm meant to be with go with this person and help him versus like it be a love thing. So I think I
Yeah.
would do it that way, and then have the plot kind of take off from there, like her hooking up Leo with Stella, her fixing everybody's issues, and she can still have the conflict with Alex and him saying something's wrong with her or whatever. I
Mhm.
wouldn't necessarily have Leo be a person that's like, oh, she's crazy or whatever. I would have her be like again somebody older, more of a father figure, and be like,
Mhm.
she's just who she is. I just, it is who she is. I believe her. She says this is what's gonna happen. That's what's gonna happen. And then Alex still being a doubting Thomas and like, oh no, that's not gonna. I don't believe that something's wrong with her. Da, da, da. I need to fix her. When in reality, they're supposed to be soulmates. So that's how I would have fixed it. I think it would have been a better
I
movie.
I like. I mean, long. Yes, definitely better. The and would make more sense with the timeline, which is like a week and a half.
And a half, yeah, yeah.
Like all this takes. I don't think. I think when they have when she tries to kiss him in the middle of the night, they'd only been married for like 4 days. Like
Hmm.
that's ridiculous. So yeah,
Ridiculous.
I think if you made Leo more of a benefactor person and her
Hmm.
more of the annoying young lady who's like, I have to go with you, I have to follow you,
Like, and
that
he's
would
like,
be.
look, I'm just on vacation. Like, we're gonna take it from there. Like, oh, I'm just on vacation. My therapist
Mm-hmm.
said I need to go on vacation. My therapist didn't tell me to bring somebody back home with me, that type of
Mm-hmm.
thing. So I would have like fixed the plot
Or
that
she
way.
followed him, or she followed him too, like that.
Yes,
Like
yes,
she found his address or something, and she just showed up on his doorstep,
right,
and it's like that. That would have, and he
yes.
feels like he has to take her in,
He has to take
or
that in. Yeah.
that that would have made more sense. But
I didn't
I
necessarily need the marriage plot between the two of them. I can still have her be clairvoyant and be in the neighborhood and there's a reason why she's there because she feels strongly pulled to that area
Mm-hmm.
versus her having to marry him and saying that that's her husband. She can still find the ring and all that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
or she can find the ring in the butcher shop while she's gutting a fish or something for him. Even though
Mm-hmm.
he's a butcher, I don't think he would have necessarily have fish because
Probably
that's a
not.
fishmonger. But anyway, I
Yeah.
don't know occupations, whatever.
Still though,
I don't know
still
occupations, whatever it is, but
find a
maybe
ring in
she
a
can
cow,
find
sure.
a ring in a cow. I don't know. Or somewhere else.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I agree with you. I think that would be a good fix.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was so skeevy for Leo to be like, "What are you doing with my wife? But you tell my wife not to talk to my girlfriend." Like what? like, dude, really? No, no,
Yeah.
no.
And for him to be like so weird and possessive of her and like too well, okay, fine, I take it back. It's I deal in we deal in romance, so weird and possessive and it instantly isn't out of
I just said
line.
like insta love, so you know.
Yeah. It's not out of line. I'm sorry. But he wasn't really in love with her.
He
So
wasn't. He
it
wasn't.
was weird.
He wasn't. I think he just
But
wanted somebody to help him in the shop.
mhm.
Because
And he
he
got that.
instantly was like, "This is where you're gonna be working." And as soon as he said, I was like, "Damn, you don't even have no honeymoon. It's just
No.
we're just working. We're just going straight to work." Okay,
Mhm. And
yeah,
you just had a vacation for all of a weekend, and now you
yeah.
come back with a wife. No
He came back
honeymoon.
with a
No.
wife. Yes,
No.
yes, yeah. I don't like
Well.
that.
Mm-mm.
Best part is just the
Well.
clairvoyant stuff, in my opinion.
Yeah, and her setting everybody else up.
Yes, yes.
That's really nice. I could have watched her. I could would love to watch her and Alex deal with her, being a clairvoyant while he's like trying to be a man of science and reason.
Like I would like to see her in the end set up a shop, like a like a psychic shop, and then
Hmm.
people come and visit her. Yeah.
Yeah, they have a two-part practice where they come to her for the future and they come to him to get their head straight. Like
Right,
that.
right.
If it would have been better if Alex had been the one who showed up on the island, and
Yes, from the beginning.
and she had gone up there and she like started harassing him, and she had no choice but to stay with Leo.
Yeah.
There's so many ways to fix this movie, including taking out the line. It would be better if I were black.
And he said something else crazy too. I cannot remember the other one, but I forgot what it was about, but I was like, "What? Like what?" It was something off putting. I can't remember. But yeah,
Uh,
that was
there's
crazy.
multiple off-putting things.
That's the most
Well,
off putting thing.
enough of off-putting. Let's talk about awesome things that aren't off-putting and feature clairvoyant psychics. Let's
Okay.
talk about your upcoming book. Talk to
Yes.
me a little bit about that.
Losing sight is we're calling it, I guess, speculative type romance, little magical speculative romance. But it is a uh novel about two folks in their 40s, Tanika, who is a sports reporter, and Gideon, who is an optometrist. He's also a widower. And Tanika is fighting the battle that we in our 40s often fight, which is aging. She is very resistant to aging. And the clearest one of the first signs usually when we're aging is that something is failing. It's usually our eyesight. And Tanika's eyesight is failing badly, badly. And she is reluctant to get glasses. I know the plot point seems silly, y'all, but and trust me, I know a lot of people who still can't see to this day and don't want to go get glasses because they don't want to look
Lots
quote
of.
unquote old.
Hmm.
So Tanika's resistant to getting glasses because she works in an industry that's very image driven. She's on camera, blah blah blah. And so eventually something happens to where she's forced to have to go see Gideon, who is her best friend's cousin. And Gideon has been kind of smitten with Tanika since he saw her at an event, and but he's getting over it. He was kind of still freshly out of losing his wife. And when she comes into the office, he's like, okay, well, here's my chance. I can see her as a patient and then ask her out. um you know And then when she's in there, some magical mystical things happen that lead her to a certain pair of glasses, which allows her to see certain things about people that she would never see. And it's very interesting. There is a clairvoyant in the book. Her name is Mother Mary, and she is a psychic. They think she's hustling them, but actually she is not. She is very much a psychic. She's gonna show up in the next book too. But she is a clairvoyant and psychic, and she pretty much pegs them head on about the things that are going on with them. So it's a fun book, a fun romp. Camp is a little campy. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, but
Little
see, that's
campy.
the best. That's the best kind of reading experience for
Yes,
me. Like
yes,
I like things that have fun
yeah.
because this world we live in and
Oh
are about
yeah.
to live in for the next 4 years is not
Oh,
gonna be very
I
fun.
know, and it's whimsical, it's fun, it's sexy, it's very sexy. Gideon may be an
Yeah.
optometrist, but he is very sexy. And there are other men in the book who are vying for Tanika's attention, but she only has eyes, pun intended, for Gideon. So there are a lot of eye puns, y'all, and all through this book. So just get used to it. But it is a very magical, if you believe in like the belief of like love, a second chance at love, and happiness, and through different obstacles, then it's definitely a book for you. So yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I just started it and I'm enjoying myself and I can't wait to see their journey into love
Thank
and where they
you.
find their happily ever after.
Thank
Um,
you.
which when is it going to be out
It's out
officially?
February 11th, so we almost in about a month.
Mm,
Yeah, a little less than a month. So it'll be out.
exciting.
Yeah, I know, very
Well,
soon.
should make sure to pre-order because there's
Yes.
some I've seen some delightful artwork making the rounds that
Yes.
whew.
Yes, if you order through my local indie, which is in Eagle Eye Books in Decatur, Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, you will get a very hot and spicy, not suitable for work art print that is from a very specific scene in the book. So if you like the idea of fogging up glasses, then that's definitely and have a glasses kink, then it's definitely for you. There is a
Love it.
glasses kink, I mean, there that is a thing.
It is. It is.
That is a
Well,
thing.
thank you, Tati.
Thank you,
I
Allie.
have enjoyed talking to you this fine evening.
I've had a blast.
Thank you for putting up with this movie, and maybe for book two, we can watch a movie that isn't as problematic.
Okay, I can give you a hint about what book two is about. Book two is going, and so we can think about a movie for the
Okay.
future. So book two is about somebody who loses their voice and can't talk,
Ooh.
but they have to
Ooh.
communicate in very different ways. Luckily, I'm going to introduce AI in here for her to communicate. It's only for her to communicate, like an app for her to communicate. But
Okay.
other than that, she loses her voice, and she's stuck with a guy who she had a thing with a while ago. So again,
Hmm.
workplace stuff, forced proximity, my favorite type of things.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank
And thank
you.
you for listening. All right.